and it's a very good one to make, and many of you will be able to make it on the rest day tomorrow and enjoy it as you sit down to watch the resumptions of hostilities when we get back to the action on stage 10, but still so much that's going to happen here on stage 9.
Thank you, John. Passing by some of the giants that are supposed to protect the locale here. Occasionally you see them dancing about. They're pretty heavy. Wooden structures. Some of them have got aluminium internal frames these days, but usually it's very big guys who emerge from within, looking very hot and sweaty. And I guess you might say it could well be the same today out of the peloton. Yes, we shall see. The giants of the game may not be allowed to play. Those who are specialists on the cobbles, because they have other duties today. But Greg van Avermaet, former winner, I think he's got a great chance now. Not the way he would have liked to have had it after Richie Porte has unfortunately abandoned the race. Haven't got official confirmation of it yet. But it certainly looked that way. We've got official confirmation of others, and we're still waiting just for that report to come through. We'll, I imagine, get his injury for you as well. But it certainly looked like a a collarbone. 2 minutes and 55. It's warm today, Brian. It's dry too, but you think that makes the surface more stable? Not necessarily. Dust can count for an awful lot, and if you've got dust and gravel and ground down cobs of earth, that can make it equally as skittery, can't it?
Yes, indeed. You know, that is the kind of hidden dangers. Anybody that's crashed in corners and things like that because of a bit of dust, a bit of gravel, that's what the riders will have to face as soon as we start hitting the cobbled sections. It is confirmed that Richie Porte is out at that crash with Rojas at 7 kilometres. But they do have TJ Van Garderen, and you know, the big question in the BMC team now is, you know, what do they do? Because obviously they had Richie Porte, they were looking after him. They'd back up with TJ Van Garderen, but now that Richie is out, what do they do? Do they allow Greg to ride for himself today for the stage? Do they make sure that obviously TJ Van Garderen, because he's quite capable of going deep into this race and maybe see, you know, he's done it in the past. He's finished 5th in the Tour de France, so it's a big call for BMC today, and it's going to be an interesting one.
And I understand we're going to be speaking to a certain Mr. Arrieta.
José Luis
Arrieta, today is obviously a very important stage. What do you have to do in order not to lose everything, essentially? Well, first of all, we need to be at the end. We'll see where we stand. We have to get through those cobblestone stages. Obviously, they're much more important than the others. Then it's trying not to lose any time to avoid incidents, crashes or punctures. Then it'll depend on our strength. Since it's not in our hands, we'll be crossing our fingers and see what we can do in those first stretches. And when riding the parcours, with each rider will find their own way through. And then we'll look ahead to the rest of the stage, depending on how each of those opening sections go.
Y a ver lo que nos depara, pues sobre todo en los primeros tramos, ¿no? Luego ya seguro que la carrera ya va más aclarada, cada uno irá un poco en su lugar y ya con eso pues tendremos que afrontar el resto de la etapa.
Y en tu equipo tienes muchas opciones.
You have many options in your team. What are the strategies going to be? Alejandro Valverde, do you think he's stronger than Nairo Quintana? Well, the strongest rider will be the one who can handle best the race out on their own, and the one who's not as strong will need the help of his teammates. That's basically our plan.
Más desfavorable, pues será el que tiene que recurrir a la ayuda del resto de sus compañeros y así intentaremos hacerlo.
Y por final, ¿cómo tensos están
are the guys under pressure already, do you reckon?
Los chicos?
Como suele decir un amigo de,
well, as a great friend of Alejandro's used to say, without intention, you stay on your sofa.
José Luis Arrieta, Joe Louis a great boxer, of course, of old, and today it is about fighting men. Let's wait and see, shall we? What about Edvald Bosenhagen? May well be the sort of rider. You're extraordinarily familiar with him, Brian, part of course, the management that took him to the original MTN Quebecer. Could he refine his form today? May he be part of that group of riders that we could consider being potential surprises on a day such as this?
I think so. I think this is a stage for him. You can just see him towards the front now on the right-hand side in the green helmet. He knows these cobbles. He loves the cobbles. He came close in Paris-Roubaix in 2016 by finishing 5th. And you know, obviously, Team Dimension Data haven't had too much to shout about with regards to the previous stages with the bunch sprints with Mark Cavendish. So this is all about, I think, Edvald Bosenhagen today for Team Dimension Data. He managed to get a stage win last year in the Tour, and he might pop up again. But this is a stage I think he's targeting, and you know, he's just over towards the right-hand side there with the Norwegian flag as a previous national champion. And he'll be one to watch for the day, but will he have the support? You can just see all the teams getting in colour order now. We will hit the first sector with 109 to go, but this is the calm before the storm, and you can just see they're just catching their breath a little bit. A bit worried about Dan Martin sitting down the back of the field for the time being.
Adam Yates is back here as well, as you can see. Just apropos of nothing, just for the time being, but we'll see how this one spins out. Pierre Rolland sort of meerkatting. He's given to that, being rangy, long of limb. Just looking over the backs of everyone at the moment. Well, on the back of this flat section, we're going to make a big turn. Cambrai beckons. Will be into the town itself in about...
Good job, guys. Great performance today. But there's no time for rest. Let's keep up the fight. By the way, it is also important to fight for strong hair, even for you.
Just 2 minutes a day gives your hair more power. Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo. Fight for your hair.
Погода на сегодня всегда солнечная.
Тель-Авив и Иерусалим. 2 солнечных города. 1 отпуск. Закажите свою поездку сейчас.
We make the bike. You make the magic. Sale now on at canyon.com.
Лайфбукмекер Bingo.Boom поддерживает велогонки и болеет вместе с тобой. Получи 500 рублей на первую ставку, используя при регистрации промокод ВЕЛО на bingoboom.ru.
Я уже выхожу из офиса. Да, я буду вовремя.
Когда аллергия нападает неожиданно и события выходят из-под контроля, лучше иметь под рукой Супрастин. Супрастин активен против разных видов аллергии, облегчая ее симптомы. Супрастин от аллергии всегда под рукой.
Хочет она теперь хоромы, каких свет не видывал.
Новостройку, что ли? А на Циане смотрел?
Открой Циан, выбери надежного застройщика.
И не
Гиги. Получи Гиги за шаги. Гиги. За шаги. Гиги за шаги.
Меняй шаги на гигабайты. В тарифах все мое. Билайн. Просто удобно для тебя.
Молочные каши Nestlé со скидкой 30% в детском мире.
Сколько? Сам в шоке. Афламил-лак. Мощное лечение грибка ногтей стало еще доступнее. Афламил-лак. От поражения к преображению.
pensive, I think you could describe it right now. Not amongst the breakaway. They've done their job and done a very good one as well. Thomas de Gent, nice little animated sequence from the great man himself. Great breakaway specialist. He and Ferrier are equally as adept when it comes to making a move like this pay off. Could it be today? Not sure. They've got 3 minutes and 41. The advantage was very, very narrow before we had the crash, which has taken out Richie Porte. And that held the pack up because so many riders were involved. It meant that to reassemble themselves was a difficult task indeed. The landscape here scarred by various landing sites for heavy aircraft bombers in the war. And this part of the world had been retaken. American forces using the airfields that the Germans had been using prior. So yes, it's battle scarred to say the least, and we'll be reminded of that throughout the day, of course. We've had our own sporting casualties today. Of course, Richie Porte, I'm afraid, no longer part of the Tour de France, and the day that he was worried about, justifiably so, I'm afraid, has taken him as a prisoner. 116.4 kilometres then. So, where is the turn? The break will be into Cambrai in 2 kilometres time, thereabouts. And the first couple sections are when that ticker says 109 to go. But it's the approach to it. And look, this at least is a funneling down, a bringing towards the narrow, Brian. And I guess, at least on a good surface, that could well be welcome. We wait for the first cobbles, and we're nearly there.
Yes, it won't be long, and we can see a reaction from the peloton now. The gap still hovering just above 3.5 minutes, but you know, these riders in the front group will be able to relax a little bit, find their way. They won't have to battle, but the big battle will be behind. It will be like a sprint finish into the first sector with 109 to go.
Well, let's hear from Vincenzo Nibali, shall we? A man who goes well here, or on cobbles. Meanwhile, before we go there, Dimitri Claes finds himself on the deck, as you can see. I think he was actually just knocked down, but was laying his bike down after presumably a technical. Doesn't look like he's battle scarred. Just clips on his power meter, and he's back and underway. That was a slightly tardy change, but he's back with us, Brian, and trying not to panic at a moment such as this.
Yeah, he's back on his race bike. I didn't see what happened earlier on, whether he was involved with something a little bit earlier than just changing back onto his race bike. We'll have to wait and see.
And just look at them starting to manoeuvre here. 2014, Nibali finished third when we raced to the Arenberg. Doesn't mind a cobble or two.
9th of July 2014, the Tour de France stage with the cobblestones, a very tough stage.
Quella del Pavè. È stata una tappa veramente
I remember the day before that the weather forecast wasn't good at all.
Non prometteva bene,
there was room for improvement at the start of the stage, but in the end it was raining right from the start. So that led to all of the riders heading out as quickly as possible.
Così alla fine il giorno dopo non era, siamo partiti che subito pioveva. Il gruppo pancia a terra, si andava tutta. Niente, per me,
it was my first ever experience with typical Paris-Roubaix cobblestones. Even if I had tried riding on it in training, it's a very different story when you're racing. The rain factor was something I'd never tried before. I was feeling pretty secure. I was a little bit afraid at the same time because I was defending the yellow jersey, and that definitely did make things a little more complicated for me.
E non era semplice, quindi c'era anche un grandissimo stress proprio all'interno del gruppo, si viaggiava a velocità altissime.
So there was some pretty big stress within the team. We were riding very fast, but I would have to say the race tactics, they were perfect. Vestra went into the breakaway, he was very strong. I'd be helped by Jakob Fulsang, who was perfect throughout the whole day, and in the end we finished second and third. All in all, it was a very tough stage. The ground was slippery, the turns were dangerous, and because we were getting out of the cobbled sections with a lot of mud on the wheels, then the road was very slippery as well. But when you feel good, when the adrenaline's running high and everything's done perfectly, it's difficult to make mistakes. And I remember before the start, someone saying to me, go and have fun. And I was like, yeah, or whatever. But in the end, I did.
Don't know how you could describe it as fun, but Vincenzo Nibali finished third that day behind Fulsang and Lars Bohm. But indeed secured his place in the yellow. Neuville-Saint-Rémy is where we are heading through right now. 112 kilometers then, and Cambrai is beckoning. In fact, we've already sailed through, and we're nearly about to make the turn, or at least the breakaway is. 3.5 minutes later, through will come the pack, and they need to stretch themselves out just a tad. It looks like a grotto, but it's actually just a dried up fish pond. Let's get back to it, shall we? 112.2 kilometers then. And for these guys, they'll be able to thread the needle far more easily, Brian. And with 3 minutes and 22, they're not going to race each other into the first cobble section, but it's going to be busy behind them.
Yeah, the breakaway of 10 riders have settled themselves down a little bit now, just taking on a little bit of water from the neutral motorbike on the left-hand side. The real drama will be back at the front of the peloton, because we do have just over 150 riders in the peloton behind. There'll be a lot of kind of shouting in the ears of riders to move up and, you know, get their GC or potential stage winner up towards the front. I just saw earlier on as we come into this town a few of the team cars trying to move, and normally the riders will move over and let the team cars through. Well, they weren't this time, because they were fighting for their own road space.
Sector Pavé, 2 stars, just to introduce you, it says, but Sector 15 is actually a 4-star sector. There we are. We'll have 2 stars when we get to Espoir-Payencourt. That will be when the ticker says 103, so apologies for the error there. But Thun is the first, and we'll make a turn into Thun as we start to head north. It's a 4-star sector to introduce them all to the hell. 1,600 meters, Brian, we've got to deal with.
Yes, indeed. We're just out the other side of this town. We'll swing left. But the biggest problem will be for the riders behind. The 10 riders will move on to the cobble section. We'll start to see them make their way across it. No real panic, but the panic will be behind. We hit it with 190 go, which is just under 2 kilometers.
Yeah, indeed, 1,600 meters before they make the turn. So this is your little preview that's not in the gift of those who are following on. This entire road will be mobbed, you can be sure of that. And as you've just heard from Brian, team cars trying to get through to service these guys, not being allowed to do so, quite frankly, because the peloton are extraordinarily interested in keeping their own road position. More beauty shots for you, but really we need to get back to the turn. Let's hope that we do so. Hotel de Ville in Cambrai. Town Hall, yes, we've got the message. The turn into it has apparently, we're hearing, been swept. We're worried about loose gravel and dust, so that's a precaution, Brian, that comes very welcome.
Yeah, very much so. You know, I think, you know, ASO are very wary of this. They don't want to lose a GC contender, the likes of Richie Porte, yep. But you know, they're the people that design the courses. You know, we all like a bit of drama, and we're going to see it even more so today. But you know, I think keep it as a classic. Keep it. You know, the Paris-Roubaix, they've already got it. But I just worry about bringing these type of stages into the Tour de France.
Yes, indeed. I'd really like to get back to the pointy end here. Spectacular clock tower.
Here it is, the left-hand turner.
Yep. Got back in time, thankfully. Here we go then. So a left-hander, they'll drift right and then swoop into it, and it is a huge moment for us all. It's where the cobbles, which have loomed so large, finally arrive here. And it looks like Freire may well be the man to take it on first. In fact, there's a little discussion about not going crazy into it. Francis Ajot want a bigger piece of this. A little bit of dive bombing, and here we go. It's the first of 15 sectors of cobbles, and indeed, my mistake, it is indeed 2 stars. Apologies for that. So rattle yourselves in, why don't you? 1,600 meters to deal with. This is not supposed to be comfortable.
No, not at all, but at least a bit more relaxed. You could see that, you know, 2 lanes wide into the left. It'll be a race into the corner for the peloton, which will be coming in about 2.5 minutes. But you can also see that the gendarmerie, the police, had their own cross bikes set up for the run-in towards the finish as well to help out.
You'll see an awful lot of helpers actually throughout the day today, and in fact some of the soigneurs and anybody else in the team will be mustered to offer up wheels should there be any punctures, and indeed water sustenance throughout, and they'll skip between the sectors, Brian. It's a high-speed chase amongst the teams sometimes, just to make sure that they've got personnel in place should there be any troubles on a day that's likely to be full of them.
Yeah, problems here for Antoine Tolhoek straight away for Lotto NL. Jumbo punctured there. I don't know what Mavic car just went straight past, but the motorbike. So he'll wait for the team car behind. He will have a team car behind, but as a Mavic neutral service, you'd actually stop and see if you can assist anyway. But the other 9 riders will continue on. A lot of these riders new to this. Okay, they've done it in training, but there's a big difference between doing it in training and doing it in a race.
Just look at how the back wheel starts to skip about. As soon as you get the tremble of the surface underneath you, it makes the back wheel chatter, and as you try and get down the drive, it starts to skip, Brian, and it's not a comfortable thing to experience.
No, not at all. But you just have to kind of grit your teeth. The best place is, you know, the best thing to do is just try and relax a little bit, and you know, just follow the wheels in front. But this is a big battle now on the main roads as we start to see the peloton start to fight towards this left-hand turn as well.
Christoph, European champion, has been going very strongly. He's not bad on cobbles himself, just trying to get himself into a decent position. You've seen there Greg van Avermaet of Team BMC in the yellow jersey, of course, trying to make the turn safely as well. 3 minutes the gap between them all, and finally they escape the cobbles. 1,600 meters of the first taste of hell, and they take themselves a bottle. Already taken a prisoner on the cobbles. You can throw a chain on there very, very easily, pick up a puncture as well. A lot have gone for a different grade of tyre for today to offer themselves a little bit of comfort and a little bit less likely to get a puncture. It is, look at it, opening up in the centre. They want to be on the right-hand side to make the squeeze over. The danger is dive bombing into the curve though, Brian, as well.
Yeah, there's a real race into this corner coming up shortly, and Bora Hansgrohe decided to push on. They wanted to look after the green jersey of Pires Sagan. So this is the peloton moving on to the first sector with 109 to go.
Those who've found a bit of road space get through tidily, but look how the squeeze reflects itself back through the pack, almost down to walking pace for those, while those out front, a bit like treading on a tube of toothpaste, they've squirted off these guys, and there's a whole load, I'm afraid, just trapped behind. Best place to be, crown of the road. If you do start to play in the dirt, in the gutter here, easy to pick up a puncture, even if you have gone for a wider profile.
Yeah, the best place is just in the crown of the road. As you've seen the breakaway staying there, most of the riders at the front staying there, but you want to see what's happening in front. Some riders using the sides, but then you do risk the kind of pinch punctures. But everything looks safe for the time being, but you can just see a lot of bottles being discarded. That's why you have to have staff members out to decide after every sector. So you see after every sector, rider Sky help on the right-hand side with the fluorescent yellow T-shirts on there. So they're already on the sectors with wheels in the air. The riders will know this, but after every sector there will be wheels plus bottles, and you'll have to grab what you can get.
Yeah, indeed. You see a lot of riders jettisoning bottles before they take on the pavé. They get shaken out of the cages on occasion and just start bouncing around, causing havoc. If you have chucked one, then make sure you get a long throw so that it doesn't hit anything and bounce back into the road. Hopefully, then you'll be able to take another bottle to quench your thirst once you've exited the pavé section. 3 minutes and 3 is the gap. It's holding steady and corrupting bike going on there. I think that Latour was involved. I think it may well be a wheel for him, not Bardet. I don't think we'll get a check on that in a moment's time. Next pavé section coming up thick and fast. In fact, it comes at 103 out, so 3K the break away now from that next cobbled section. Another toughie, another long one, 1.6 kilometers, and then we'll have a respite from the cobbles for around about 20 Ks. Here we are. It is Romain Bardet.
Yeah.
Wow, there we are. You can ship a lot of time on a day such as this, and it may not be the first incident. You can have a couple and absolute chaos. You see it's all backed up. Cars can't get through. It's very, very narrow. I'm surprised. Well, occasionally they call the cars out from the more testy sections. This counted as one where the vehicles can get involved, and when they do, they cause a blockage very easily.
Yeah, that's the problem. When you get the cars behind, one stops, they all stop. There's absolutely no way around, and you can see that quite important to try and use motorbikes. You can see the riders coming off now, grabbing what they can, dropping. It's very important to get one of those bottles, but it looks like Borahan's got in a good place. Yellow jersey up towards the front, Philippe Kwiatkowski, but unfortunately for Bardet, he is back there with a wheel change from one of his teammates. But I did say early on that he has got time to get back. The crucial point, I think, it comes with 70 kilometres to go. So I don't think there's real danger of Bardet getting distance from this moment, but he has got some time now to get back to the front. I know the next sector's coming up, but then we do have a bit of a gap to sector 13, then another bit of a gap to sector 12 at 70 to go, where if Bardet has not made it back by then he could be in real trouble.
Let's wait and see. Next sector coming up in 1,600 metres. That's for the breakaway, and we rejoin them right now. Car just sailing up. This looks like a mechanical issue. We've got a mechanic just hanging out. Not quite sure what they're going to address or what the problem is. Worst possible one you can have, and it's a common one here, is that basically your seat post starts to descend with all the rattling. If your body weight's on it and you happen to be a big man, you can punch it back into the frame, and that affects your comfort on the bike, of course, and your effectiveness on the push. Nearly there, next section of cobbles, and after which we'll have about 15 kilometres of respite, where there is an intermediate sprint, incidentally, so not much. It comes at about 4Ks after this next cobble section. Dwelling on Romain Bardet, I think if that's all the bad luck he's going to have, he'll take that.
Yes, indeed. There's a Skyrider just in front as well, but possibly for Bardet, rather it happen now rather than later on, because I think it's, you know, when they start coming thick and fast, it gets a little bit more difficult. He does have a little bit of time to come back. I think he will come back. He's got Sylvain Dilly, who finished second in the Paris-Roubaix this year, to help him back, the former Swiss champion. But when we last went over the cobbles in the Tour de France, it dented the hopes of the other Frenchman, Thibaut Pinot, and today let's hope it's not the same for Romain Bardet.
Let's hope so. It was Gianni Moscon, by the way, that they tagged onto. There he is, the Italian. I actually wondered whether he'd be given a free-ish hand today, but there's so much at stake for Team Sky with both Geraint Thomas and indeed Chris Froome, possibly not. 3 minutes and 17 as they hit this next pavé section. It's a reasonably long one, proper country roads this, and you dare not ride too close to the edge. It's quite broken. Different pavé sections, Brian, they have a different character about them. Some are smoother than others, some are better set, some have very, very loose cobbles, some are incredibly gnarly, and some of the edges are unfinished.
Yeah, very unexpected what you're going to get. Still problems for Romain Bardet, though. He's swapping bike again. A lot of riders will ride the first section of pavé. We've seen it with Omar Freley, and when you come off the pavé section, your bike, you feel a little bit different. You feel feel shaken. It feels a little bit different, but it's not any different. But for Romain Bardet here, he's deciding that there was something not quite right. Maybe it was his gears. I saw him pushing his bars a little bit, and then jumps onto his spare bike. So he's just telling his teammates, just keep it going, we'll get back up. He has got a little bit of time. As Carlton says, we have, after this sector, we do have quite a few kilometres of no pavé sections, so he has got some time to get back to the main body of the peloton.
.800 metres of this pavé sector remaining, and then we've got our intermediate sprint. How important that is today is anybody's guess. I think those who are up front are just concerned about maintaining their position, and 3 minutes and 20 is what they've got just for the time being, and that's a comfortable one with 102 kilometres of hell remaining. Well, as we said, at least it's not raining, but I guess storm clouds have certainly gathered emotionally over plenty out here today. Pace is undiminished, it seems, on the cobbles.
Yes, the gap holding fine for the time being for the 9 riders now in front. We did lose Antoine Tohouk of Lotto NL Jumbo with a puncture in sector 15. This is sector 14, and it's similar length of 1,600 metres. It's a 2-star. And the next one after that comes with 87.5 to go. So a bit of respite for the riders. So these 9 riders now with a few tarmac kilometres before the next section comes.
I guess settle yourself in, take account of how it's gone so far, and it's been a brute for some. Here is Bardet and the 2 men who have dropped back for him. Rudy Mollard, of course, here, and David Godot. They've left, it seems, outside. I beg your pardon. Do forgive me. They've left Latour further up the road.
Yes, they're looking at possibly the young jersey classification, but thankfully, and the information will get back to Bardet, he doesn't have to panic in these situations. They are in the cars. The front of the bunch not pushing on too much. The most important part is over. The first section of Pavé. Everybody's got through it fine. Unfortunately for Richie Porte at 7 kilometres, there was a crash, a really nervous start, and that took him out the race. But the race seems to be settled for the time being, and you can just see in that helicopter shot that Romain Bardet is making his way back through the cars, and he'll be back into the main body of the peloton, I think, fairly shortly.
Indeed. 100 kilometres to go. Sorry, we're bouncing all over the place, trying to accommodate the great Adam Blythe, who has joined us here. So if we got momentarily distracted, we apologise. Great to have you here, Adam. It's one of those days that has loomed very large. It's taken a huge amount of prisoners. The compression that goes on the run to each one of these pavé sectors is a race within itself. It's a series of sprints today.
It is, yeah. It's just a series of lead-outs for those main guys there as well. You know, they really have to make sure their lead guys in the front. You've got Bora there taking Sagan in, so they're doing a great job for him today. They've got one goal, and that's to get him to the finish. And just see there, Bardet's back to the back of the peloton now. So hopefully they'll be able to get back to the front quicker sooner rather than later.
Just got a couple of sound issues, I understand, with Adam's mic. I'm not hearing you myself, Adam, but I'm hoping that the audience can. If they can, then that is absolutely fine by us. 100 kilometres to go. Dusty old track that we're dealing with. Thank heaven we haven't got rain.
Yeah, today could have been awful if they had rain. Well, we saw it a couple of years ago, 2014, I think it was. And yeah, awful day for the riders out there.
3 minutes and 37. Just look at the chatter that's going through the arms. Your suspension system essentially is your own body. You can see the shaking that's going through the wrists here. If you've taken a tumble already and you're feeling any kind of bumps or bruises, Brian, that's going to be reflected on the rest of the day. You saw Andre Greipel as well earlier on today. Took a big hit. He went to the medical car to have his thumb and his wrist with some freezer spray go onto that to try and take down some of the swelling. He's going to feel it as soon as you get to the rough stuff, isn't he?
Yeah, you feel for Lawson Craddock as well with the fractured shoulder, and then you've got Dan Martin as well with the crash yesterday. But you do have some pain. You feel it more when you're going slow. These riders aren't going slow. This is Los and Craddock here at the back. It's a bit of an adrenaline you get on the cobbles, off the cobbles, and you can see the main body of the peloton. They've got road position. They'll relax for the last kind of kilometre into the Pavé section. Put the power down in the Pavé section, stretch it out a little bit and relax. It's those efforts you have to make. If you're not in position, you have to make big efforts all the time. So that's why it's really important to ride on the front, because those efforts that you're making in these cobble sections will come and bite you in the final.
Adam, you were saying before we began today that it's likely to settle down a bit, but there's been so much drama today. Teams are having to rip up their strategy and rethink how they approach it.
Yeah, I think so. I think when we get to Sector 12 there, that's when they start coming in, like Brian said, thick and fast. So, you know, I think these couple of sections, get in your position, but then the real race will start. I think we've got one more section now, then a bit of a gap before the next, for Sector 12. And I think Sector 12 there, it's game on. You know, if you're not in the front there, you're going to lose time, basically, I think. So I think once you're in your sort of position, your group today, you're going to be in that. And then I think it'll settle down. There'll be the race within the race, but it'll be so strung out that you'll just be, in your group, and that'll be that, I think.
It's Thomas de Gendt, who has been close to the front of every single day and then backed out of most breaks, but he's gone for it today. And I think minded to go deep further into this race, and so we'll start collecting points, and he's just got himself some at this intermediate sprint, and why not? He's a man who loves being up the road. In fact, he was most bitter at not being given the overall competitivity award last year after being up the road again and again and again. Well, he's up the road again. 97.7 kilometres then from home, and 3 minutes and 40. It looks like it's holding, waiting for the pack to come through that intermediate sprint as well. Most of the points have actually already been hoovered up. It's about cobbles today, and indeed starred sections, of which we have plenty, some in the firmament, some falling.
Are you a man? Do you have hair? Then fight for your hair with Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo from Germany. Engineered with a special caffeine formula, used daily and leave on for 2 minutes. Alpecin Caffeine Shampoo. Fight for your hair.
There's a world of miracles inside our bodies. See every color on Earth. Hear sounds that inspire. Feel more than just heat. Taste a world of flavor. Smell the miracles of nature. See, smell, hear, taste, touch. Widen your world.
Иногда хочется так, а получается так. Нейродоз. Занимайтесь любовью дольше.
Что-то.
Ион. Время действовать.
Я могу платить в 4 утра. А процент на остаток у вас есть? Вот так было, пока я не открыл счет в Тинькофф банке. Персональный менеджер, бесплатная онлайн-бухгалтерия. И платежный день